back to a brand new episode of Gen Z BTC. It's me, Satoshi Guapamoto. Today, I just wanted to do a quick little video about why the United States is so slow to adopting Bitcoin, why they seem to be behind the curve, while other countries like El Salvador, Costa Rica, Argentina, Bhutan, and many others, right, seem to be ahead of the curve as they adopt Bitcoin, at least out in public, right, at least at the forefront. Because at the end of the day, honestly, the United States does hold a lot of Bitcoin. They hold the most of any country. And in terms of the way certain regulators are moving, the SEC, of course, they're paid off. They're just idiots. And they're trying to be roadblocks, and they won't be remembered very fondly in history. But there are certain members of Congress, there are certain people in the SEC, besides Gary Gensler, who are also trying to push towards this decentralized, tokenized, crypto asset-based future that we're walking into, right? But it seems like the United States and people in the United States in particular don't seem to really care about Bitcoin. They don't really care about much of crypto. They don't really care about much of anything, right? The average American doesn't care about much of anything besides like celebrity gossip and, what they're going to buy on Amazon that they don't need. But I would say that the main reason for this, and this is a very important thing to understand, is that in the United States, they have the least amount of reason, mostly the Western world, right? The Western world has the least amount of incentive to get off of the dollar standard and go towards something that is not controlled because they control the dollar standard. This is the main thing to understand, right? Like the US dollar-based system is going to push as much negative news or propaganda for the average person, so that way they feel disincentivized to invest or look into Bitcoin, or they might even go a step further and push back against Bitcoin and spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt and misinformation about the protocol to hopefully get other people onto that bandwagon. And that's how you get subreddits like Buttcoin, right? Which, by the way, I'm going to be going through Buttcoin subreddit, and I'm going to be just like cooking those guys. You know what I mean? That is free content, and I'm so thankful for them. That is so free. But what's happening is they have no reason to not stop printing dollars. You understand what I'm saying? Like when you're in control of the money printer and everybody relies on your printing, people look to the United States to signal whether or not they're going to begin cutting rates or raising liquidity or whatever, because the United States drives the global market. For the most part, they're usually the ones who are front running. They're the ones who are having the most impact globally because we have the global reserve currency. So from their perspective, it's like, why would we try to transition to something that is immutable, something that is scarce, something that is highly fungible, something that is durable, something that is not under our control, right? Why would the United States do that? So that's part of the reason why they are reluctant to adopt a Bitcoin standard and to disseminate Bitcoin information and to get more people involved into the network. But when you look at countries who are threatened by tyranny, where your free speech is threatened on a daily basis, and where your purchasing power has been debased to the point where you're storing your value, your monetary value, you're storing that in bricks and other like commodity type items, like in Venezuela or Argentina, or like in Turkey or in Libya, in places like that, they're a lot quicker. India, places like this, they're more likely to be adopting and using Bitcoin in a circular economy, right? Because they understand they have no other choice. Like their money is so far gone, it's so far debased that they genuinely cannot use it. So they've switched to the monetary alternative in order for them to preserve their future purchasing power so they don't continually get poorer as they go to work for longer and work more and more hours. And especially in the US, in a capitalist system, this is not even true capitalism. I'm sure most people realize that by now. Well, maybe, I don't know. But right now, like we live in like a form of techno-feudalism, right? Where essentially tech companies, because of the fact that technology is deflationary and technology has an exponential growth rate in terms of the way that they're able to capture productivity, You end up in a system where everything should be getting cheaper, but instead things are getting more expensive because you're printing money faster than the rate of technological deflation. And Jeff Booth has a great book about this, The Price of Tomorrow, and he also has a lot of great podcasts and resources. So check out Jeff Booth. Absolutely incredible genius in the space. When you look at what's happening, the price of everything continues to expand, even though we become highly efficient at producing goods or at completing work, right? And when you end up in a hyper inflated system, you have the option to wait for your government to just default on everything and then reset the monetary system, or you transition out of that system because you're tired of the boom and bust cycles of, run up, crash, run up, bank failure, run up, this, that, you know what I mean? Because you want to move to a system that's not reliant on people, because people are imperfect and they're greedy and they're sometimes just pure evil, right? Whereas a Bitcoin system is a system of, it's antitrust, like it's trustless. You're not trusting a person in the system. You're trusting a mathematical equation. You're trusting a cryptographic hash function. You're trusting something that doesn't have any ulterior motives. It has no greed. It has no reason to try to fuck you over. It has no reason to try to take anything from you. It's just a network. The same way that you trust the internet. When I say trust the internet, like not me, I'm on the internet, that's how you're watching me. But when I say trust the internet, not the people on it, like you trust the internet itself as a system, as a protocol, as a network. Like you trust the internet to disseminate your message. You know what I mean? Now, certain people who have captured and own the internet in certain pockets, like Google and Microsoft and Facebook, they might stop your message from getting there, but that's a third-party intermediary getting in between you and what you're trying to get to individuals. In Bitcoin, there is no third party to stop, block, censor, look at, scrutinize, chastise, anything. It's just me and you, and we're transacting value. All there is to it. Why would we need somebody in between to try to tell us what is and okay not to transact, right? So that's part of the reason. I just wanted to touch on that. Like when you look at all these other countries, look at Bitcoin adoption in India. Look at how people utilize Bitcoin in El Salvador. Look at how people are utilizing the network in real life. That could be possible here. Don't get me wrong. A business can accept Bitcoin if they're willing to set up the on-ramps and turn on the rails for that type of system. But because the network effect hasn't grown big enough, they're just not incentivized at this moment. And that's why the people who are in the network early will have more of a market share of the network, and therefore they will benefit more as people come on and start utilizing the system, the Bitcoin economy. And people who are already on a Bitcoin standard, life gets cheaper for them, while life gets more expensive for everybody who's still on a fiat standard. And that's just true. You just have to look at previous performance of the asset to realize that that is the case. So the United States will come around eventually, because the game theory of Bitcoin dictates that the people who get in early to adopt the network will be economically benefited by those who come on. Like when the United States adopts a Bitcoin standard and really starts hammering the Bitcoin mining and the buying, they're paying El Salvador because they were already a part of the network. And that leads into something else where some people say, well, that's a Ponzi scheme. We'll talk about that in the next video. But the main differentiator between a Ponzi scheme and a network effect is that there is no beneficiary at the top who can then collapse the Ponzi. And there's no limit to the amount of people who can join into the Bitcoin network. It really is a global network. That's why Bitcoiners tell you to buy it and then not to sell. Like they're not, like there's nothing to sell to. You know what I mean? Like, it's like when you get on Facebook, when Facebook first came out, you get on Facebook and then you kind of stay there. Like you don't delete your Facebook account to then go to Instagram or to go to YouTube or Snapchat or whatever. Like the Facebook network is so big You just stay a part of that network and it just gets bigger, right? And then it expands. That's why Facebook ate Instagram. Like it just acquisitioned it, right? That's basically what we're seeing here. We're seeing a network effect. The same way you get on the internet, right? You get on the internet. You don't get off the internet at any point. You know what I mean? Like there is only one global protocol. When I say get off the internet, I don't mean like, oh, I'm deleting Instagram for the 5th time. No, that's not getting off the internet. What I mean is like, you don't get off of the internet. Like there's just one internet for all the websites. That's it. It's a global network. That's it. There is no other, oh, I'm going to go to the internet too. That's why all that Web3 garbage nonsense, that was literally a scam. Like it's not real. Like it doesn't work. That was a crypto grift and a lot of buzzwords to try to get VC investors to throw money into nonsense, like, you know, monkey NFTs. You know what I'm saying? Like there is no other network to go to. You don't get off the internet to go to another internet. You get on Bitcoin and then you stay there. There is no other thing to go to. So the United States will eventually get on a Bitcoin standard. They're just a little bit slower than the rest because they have an incentive to try to maintain this grip on power that they have for as long as possible. But their transition is inevitable because they really have no other choice because their currency is smoked. The interest rate is too high. They've printed too much money and it's a runaway freight train and nothing stops it. So that's why you got to stack sats or die trying. You know what I mean? Start now. There's still time. But you might come back to a video like this in 5 years and realize you have significantly less time now, right? This has been Gen Z BTC. I'm your host, Satoshi Guapamoto. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, drop a comment. Tell me if I'm crazy or not. All right, it's all good. I'll be sure to reply to you in the comments. We'll have a little discussion. Stack sats or die trying. I'll see you in the next one.